guys, welcome back. My name is Rum of Rums Cakes and I hope everyone is doing well. If you're joining us for the first time, then welcome, and this is a season I like to call Rustic Bakes by Rums Cakes. So for the last few weeks, we've basically been doing a few of my favourite things that I like to bake and bake for people. So we first started off with a red velvet cake, then we did a banana bread cake, and last week we did a lemon and blueberry cake. So this week I thought, why not throw some chocolate into the mix? So we're going to be doing my favourite, what I like to call a triple chocolate and walnut muffin. It's going to have a caramel sauce. Now, as usual with these things, I haven't decided exactly where we're going. So whether the caramel sauce will be on top or the caramel sauce will be in the middle, we'll see how we go. But I hope you're enjoying these videos, guys. I love watching baking and cooking videos, so I hope you're enjoying them as much as I enjoy making them. And as always, if you've got any questions, feel free to DM me or email me, rumscakes@gmail.com. And yeah, I don't like to talk too much, so let's just get to baking, guys. Okay guys, so here are the ingredients that we're going to be using. I always like to give you a little snapshot of everything that you'll need. So we've got some sugar, we've got some dark chocolate and butter, we've got some white chocolate there, we've got the raising agents, so baking soda, baking powder and salt, some vanilla, we've got some self-raising flour, walnuts, 3 eggs and 1 egg yolk, and then we've got some milk chocolate down here at the bottom, spoonful of coffee granules, I'll show you what to do with those, some cocoa powder, white chocolate, and then we've got ingredients for buttermilk today, so I'm going to show you how I do that. Lemon juice and milk. We've got our tin prepared. I didn't find the special papers, so I just had to use these muffin cases, the brown ones. And then for our equipment, as per usual, a bowl and a whisk wooden spoon, or an electric whisk if you have one. And then of course we're going to sieve our dry ingredients together. So let's get to mixing all this good stuff together. So today we're going to make buttermilk. I promised this in the last couple of videos. So this is basically how you do it. So you've got milk there and you've got lemon juice. And so basically add a tablespoon at a time and see where you go. Now usually you only need, I reckon, about 2 tablespoons, and it will cause the reaction to happen pretty much straight away. And then you just leave it to sit, and basically what it will do is I'm going to add just a little bit more because these are not completely full tablespoon measures, so I added just a little bit there, and you already start to feel the resistance, and if you give it a few minutes it will thicken. The milk will look split, but basically what the acid would have done is broken down the milk, and when that reacts together with baking powder and baking soda, it creates the most lightest, most fluffiest cake. So yeah, that's how you make buttermilk, guys. Okay guys, so now we're going to whisk our, I said whisk, I mean sieve. Sieve the cocoa powder. Now I know this is a dry ingredient, but we're going to do something different this week. So we're going to sift our cocoa powder. Okay, so the next step is to add your coffee, and then add enough hot water to make this into a paste. So add a little bit at a time, mix together. Now cocoa powder gets quite thick as soon as hot water hits it, so be patient and add a little bit at a time. Until it becomes almost liquid, but not runny. There you go. That's enough water there. I'm not going to add any more to that. So basically, keep whisking together, and what that does is it will ensure that there are no lumps but also it will help to cool down the mix. We don't want hot mix going into cake batter because that will just cause all manner of problems. So as you can see, it's beautifully smooth. I wouldn't taste this because it is bitter as. But yeah, so now we've got a lovely chocolate slurry. And this is going to add heaps and heaps and heaps of chocolate flavour. And what that coffee flavour does as well is it amps up the chocolate flavour. So you won't taste the coffee. Instead, you'll taste even more chocolate flavour. Okay, let's go to the next step. Okay, so we're at the next step now. So what we need to do is get our chocolate and butter melted together. I'm not going to stand here and wait for the chocolate and butter to melt together, but I just wanted to show you what I'm using. So we call this a double boiler. Fancy word for basically a saucepan with a little bit of water in it. Let me show you. There's not a lot of water in there. And basically what we want is for that water to start to steam and bubble up. And what that will do is it will help to melt these two lovely ingredients together. And we basically just want a smooth mix of everything. So don't let the water touch the bowl. That's why there's only a little bit of water in there. And constantly stir once it starts to melt on the edges. You'll start to see when the heat gets the chocolate. It's not done it yet, but when the heat starts to hit the chocolate and the butter, it will melt together. So I'll show you the process midway through. So as you can see, the process midway through, the chocolate is melting and the butter is melting. So that means the heat has hit the bowl. So turn down the heat when it starts to bubble furiously now, and just let the gentle heat of it simmering away melt everything together. My heat is too high. Don't let the condensation get into the chocolate. If that happens, we have trouble. I'm not going to show you what that looks like because then that means I've ruined my chocolate. But now everything is beautifully melting together. So now we're going to turn off the heat and just let the residual heat melt what's left of the butter that's in there, because the chocolate has melted already. So it's just the butter that's left. So just keep stirring and eventually you'll get a smooth mix. Okay, and this right here is exactly what we're looking for. Smooth chocolate and butter melted together. I've taken it completely off the heat now, and I basically just want it to get to some kind of room temperature or a much cooler temperature than what it is before I add it to the cocoa and coffee mix to create a river of chocolate goodness. So keep stirring to bring down the temperature. So it's more or less at room temperature now. As you can see, it's shiny, beautifully smooth. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add this mix to our chocolate slurry that we made earlier. So let's do it like so. Talk about chocolate overload. So you can use your whisk initially just to ensure it's well combined. Get rid of your spatula for now. And really give it a good whisk through. Ensure there are still no lumps from before. Beautiful. This is going to make beautiful flavor. Okay, let's get to the next step. So we have our 3 eggs and 1 yolk. We're going to add vanilla to this, and we're also going to sieve the sugar onto the eggs. There's a few lumps in there, so I want to get rid of those. So pretty much go straight. I like to show you what it's like using your hands before we get to the electric whisk. Here's the tip, guys. As soon as sugar and eggs get together, you must whisk them straight away. What actually happens is the sugar starts to cook the eggs. So if you don't mix them together straight away, you'll end up with lumpy, raw scrambled egg in the weirdest way. And you don't want to do that. I think today we'll just use the hand whisk. It's getting enough air by hand, so I don't need to use the electric one, but if you have an electric one, feel free to use it. And then what we're going to do is, I'll show you the next step. Okay, so we've whisked the sugar and eggs together. As you can see, it's a beautiful custardy color. And this was all achieved by hand, guys, so you don't need to use an electric whisk if you don't have one. So now we're going to add our beautiful chocolate slurry that we made earlier. Now this is a combination of the butter, the chocolate, the cocoa, and the coffee. Mix in a little at a time. You don't want it to split. And the thing is, that mix is at room temperature, so it's not going to cook the eggs into scrambled. It's just going to mix in beautifully. And then pour in the rest. And make sure you scrape down the bottom of the bowl, guys. Don't waste any of that good. Which is what I'm going to do just now. And as you can see, it's a beautiful chocolate consistency. Actually, brownies start off this way, interestingly enough, so you could make this into a brownie mix if you wanted to, but we're not doing that today. Today we're making muffins. Okay, next thing. So we have a beautiful chocolate C. So we're going to add in our flour, a couple of big tablespoons at a time, and our buttermilk. And we're just going to mix these together. And keep basically repeating the process until the flour is done. Now, as you can see, we've got our additions. So the first thing we're going to add is our walnuts. If you have allergies, don't put them in, obviously. But you don't have to use walnuts. You can use peanuts, you can use hazelnuts, use whatever you want, basically, whatever is to your taste. And then I've got some milk chocolate here, and I've got some white chocolate here. And there's already dark chocolate in the mix, and cocoa, so technically it's quadruple chocolate, but you get the gist. Now, do not be alarmed that the mix is so liquid. I'm just going to mix over to a spatula. It's going to make the most loveliest and most lightest muffins. So I will show you what these look like in their tins before we bake them. Okay guys, so here are the muffins. If you've got any extra white chocolate lying about, you can add some to the top. Obviously don't put too much because we're going to put caramel on these after, so you don't want them to be overkill sweet. But basically you get the gist. And this mix makes about 24 of these, so it's a generous mix. Or you could make 2 big cakes, like 7-inch or 8-inch cakes if you wanted to, and then decorate those. So now this is going to go in the oven and bake at 160 degrees, gas mark 3 or 320 Fahrenheit for approximately 25 minutes to 35 minutes. Again, all ovens are different, so you always need to test it by putting a skewer in to check if it comes out clean or not. So I'll show you when they're baked. Okay, so here are the muffins, they're done. The skewer came out clean. They took approximately 28 minutes. As you can see, they're yummy and gooey. Leave them in the tin to cool for about 5 minutes, and then when they're somewhat not as hot to touch, then you can put them directly onto the cooling rack, which they're sitting on at the moment. And then when they've cooled down completely, then I'll show you what we're gonna do with the caramel sauce. Okay guys, so here are my triple chocolate and walnut muffins with caramel sauce, and I grated some walnut on the top just for texture. These are quite rich, so I think this is the perfect size for them. Otherwise, any deeper or any bigger, you might be in a sugar coma for a little while. But I hope you've enjoyed baking along or even watching along with me as we've made these. It was really fun. If you've got any questions, don't forget to DM me at Rums Cakes, which is RUMS_cakes, or you can email me rumscakes@gmail.com. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.